handles that if you've got something of interest or just want to follow up. Also, Kathy, why don't you give them your number at the office, so in case they have to, in
Want
case
to
they
talk
want
to me?
in case somebody wants to talk to you, it's they can give you a call.
Okay. So my phone number at United Way is 772-283-4800. Not only am I a United Way employee, but I do have, I am the RSVP director. So Mark and I go way, way back. But I work with 70 different nonprofit agencies here in Martin County, not only the ones that United Way funds, but other agencies. So as a volunteer, we are the hub for volunteerism here in Martin County. So whatever you like to do, we have a position for you. Here's a great example. If you came to me and said, I want to work at a thrift store, we would sign you up, see where you lived, to say, okay, in your area, I have 8 different thrift stores. Do you have a certain passion for one? Or, for instance, like Alzheimer's or hospice or, a cancer center? Do you have a passion that way? Or do you just want one close to your house? So,
Right.
it varies as far as that goes. And we really, in my office, first of all, I do love anyone over 55. They are my specialty, although I love all people and I love little people. But I also really look at it from the volunteer's perspective instead of the agency perspective. So I always use this example. The Stewart Air Show, United Way has a gate there. Yes, you could go right to the air show and say, I want to be a volunteer. And they'd be like, yes, we love having you. Come sign up. Well, then you're hooked in for 8 straight hours of volunteering. If you came through United Way, I would say, yes, we're excited to have you. Here, we have a great 4-hour shift for you. Not only do you get preferred parking, but you get a cool United Way t-shirt. You also get a volunteer air show t-shirt when you're done volunteering. We give you lunch. We give you a chair and a awning for you to sit under. You're catered to, you're watched over, and you get to volunteer with some of the coolest people in town.
See?
So, there you go.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
That's a sales point. If I ever, that's a pretty good deal.
Yes. And today I brought my very good friend, Gigi Suntum from Caring Children, Clothing Children, also known as the 4 C's, who I love her volunteers. She's awesome. And
yeah,
we're going to let her tell you what they do over there.
Oh, great.
Yeah. We just throw it to you and we're going away.
That's
so go ahead.
fine. My turn to talk. I love it.
That's right.
Anyway, I'm really excited to be here. And thank you to Kathy. She does a remarkable job. I know she told you a lot about what she does, but she does a really remarkable job in the community of getting volunteers placed. And she has been just outstanding for us because we're a small nonprofit, very small staffed, and don't have a person in a volunteer recruitment position. So she is our pseudo volunteer recruiter for our organization, and she brings to us so many people. And we have the same situation in that we're looking for volunteers year round, but so many of our older volunteers are gone in the summer, and that's our busiest time. So we're just grateful that she can help us fill those voids in the summertime when we're slammed with children coming in for school clothes. And our volunteers are up north and out west, or wherever else they like to go back to. So we have a program right here in Martin County. We've been here for 23 years, and what we do is provide to children clothing items that they can wear to school at no cost. So we're filling that need for kids who are living in home situations where the parents are struggling financially, and therefore the children don't get those typical trips to the mall once a month.
Gigi, how did this all start? I mean, how was it that all of a sudden somebody said, was it like here's a kid, no clothes, type thing, or the emperor came down the street and there was no clothes?
That's so funny. I have to tell you a funny story because you said that. When I first took this job 13 years ago, my daughter, I was trying to explain to her, she was little at that time. She was like 3. Well, she was probably maybe 3 or 4.
I have the mental capacity of about that. So and the attention span. But go ahead.
I was explaining to her that I was going to work for an organization that provided clothing for kids that didn't have any, that were in need. And that's exactly what she said. She said, "Oh my God, are they walking around naked? They have no clothes?" Like, she didn't understand the whole concept. She said, "Oh my gosh, they have nothing. They're naked kids walking around." It wasn't that bad. But when the agency was founded, there were a husband and wife that lived out in Palm City, and they would, they had grandchildren of their own, and they would typically see kids at the bus stop that weren't dressed appropriately for school, is the bottom line. And I think it's kind of cute because one of their big worries was, well, they don't have jackets to wear on, chilly days. And I'm thinking, well, we get like 3 or 4 of those days a year where they need a jacket.
Coming up.
And if you've ever had a kid and tried to make them wear heavier clothes when they're used to throwing shorts and t-shirts on, it's like, no, mom, I'm not going to do that. But the other thing that was happening, unfortunately for them, is that their daughter lost her husband in a tragic accident, and she was left to raise the 3 children on her own with just the resources that she had. And the grandparents of these kids were thinking, wow, if she's struggling like this, how many other people in the community are really struggling to get clothing for their kids and get the actual things that they need, when there's just maybe one person in the family trying to raise kids. So we do see very many single parent families, trying to raise kids on one income, or just very minimal financial.
I didn't know that story.
Yeah.
It's
true.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Kathy and I are dealing with 3-year-olds. So do you have a lot of princess costumes and stuff in pink? Because our granddaughter is, is fixed
3.
on princess costumes and stuff in pink. So.
Well, the cool thing is that we have clothing for all ages of kids, from newborns to 18-year-olds, because we deal with all those ages. So you can imagine in our store, there's just sizes for it's just packed with sizes. It goes from 0 in baby sizes to 44, 46 in men's pants, and everything in between for boys and girls. So we do have a good selection, and we have a lot of pink things for 3-year-olds.
For Northerners, it's Filene's basement.
Is that what it looks like?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Okay.
exactly.
So so do you have you also have like uniforms for some of the schools, things like that? Do you have some of those types of things?
Well, here's the deal for us. Everything that we get clothing wise is donated. So we almost never know what we're going to get. We have donation bins at 10 of the area schools here. And once a week, we have volunteers that go and pick those items up. And the items are placed in there by parents and kids.
Yeah.
And that's how our name came about, the Caring Children, providing the clothing for children. So getting back to uniforms, yes, we do get uniforms, but I wouldn't say our store is stocked with uniforms. It's kind of hit or miss. Like you can come in, and the uniform code here is pretty lenient, as far as they really just want to see the younger kids wearing collared shirts and long pants or solid shorts.
Although some of the schools have a khaki thing and then the Redeemer has a little bit of a program over there. I think they have a uniform program over there. So I was just kind of wondering, because it is tough, if you get and a lot of times you can get help to get one, but if you got to wear a uniform every single day, you don't want your child in the same uniform every single day. So sometimes it's even more difficult than if they can wear other clothes, because they've got to have this specific uniform.
Right. And everybody who's raised kids knows what that's like. The collared shirts are dirty, that you wore it yesterday, and then it's back on the child again the next day, and it's not clean. And
we turn underwear inside out. Go from there.
So it's a problem. It really is, because these kids, a lot of them don't have what they need to wear to school, and we rely on the schools and teachers and other social service agencies to refer the kids to us. We want to see those kids, because we'll make sure they get collared shirts to wear.
When you're looking at it, and what do you think is probably your toughest demographic in terms of trying to provide assistance in closing?
Oh, that's so easy. I love easy questions. Boys pants. I think boys wear their clothing until it's ripped to shreds, and they've blown out the knees and everything. And by the time they get done with it, it's not really even donatable.
Yeah.
So we're constantly looking for boys' pants and shorts. It's just tough. And then I think too, for the teenage boys, we struggle too, because we ask for donations, and a lot of times adults will donate to us, and that's fine as long as they're going to give us items that a teenager will wear.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's right.
consequently, we get a lot of men's things that would fit a teenager, but that no teenager would wear.
Would
We get
possibly be seen dead in,
right.
right?
We
So,
get the golf shirts with the the country club logo on them, and the
right.
the big pleated pants, and that's not in style for teen boys. So that's a struggle too.
Right. Right.
So Gigi does have some awesome partners, which is great. But let me tell you a quick story. Teachers contact me, the guidance counselors, because I work with all of them. And we were maybe 2 weeks into school last year, and I got a call from a school about a boy who had been wearing the same clothes for 5 days. Before noon, Gigi had gotten me 5 sets of clothing for this child. We had it back to the school and into the hands of the guidance counselors before noon.
Whoa.
So talk about a great partnership. It was really nice. And because of the parents in the situation, this little boy had, quote unquote, won the lottery for the day. But she is an outstanding partner. It just takes a phone call. It's hard because a lot of these parents don't know how to get help. Unfortunately, it is the single parents that struggle the most, because whether it's a job loss or an illness or whatever, they don't know where to turn to. So a lot of times it may be their parents who I run into as volunteers who say, I know this family that's struggling. Can you help me find some resources? Or the teachers or the guidance counselors. It is amazing how they get to us. Those who have used the system time after time know it. Those who don't are the ones that it amazes me every time. And I wouldn't know it unless, until I had this job.
And, it's interesting because you say, well, you talk about the situation with a single parent, right? Which is difficult because, trying to make it work and with all of the stuff that goes on. And it's important that these kids, even at the young ages, even at the 6th grade, 7th grade, I mean, not 6th grade, the 6 and 7-year-old, and you'd think, okay, at that age, who's into this? But kids know when somebody and at that age they're just so brutally honest. They're not being mean. They're just like, boy, that's ugly or something, or why do you wear that?
Or why do you eat the same lunch every day?
Right.
Absolutely.
But and we've got some programs in the schools to help out with some of that. But the clothing issue is an issue because and here's the other thing that people don't think about. We have a lot of divorced or separated or split families where, maybe they were never married in the first place, but they have a child together. And there's, the one's got the child for a couple days and the other's got the child for a few days. And, no matter what, the kids never remember to bring all their stuff. And if you've got only 1 or 2 outfits and you're carrying those back and forth, it's not like you can have a second set at mom's or dad's when you're staying over there, especially for dad, because he's going to forget. And, and so, so it's a tough situation.
You raise a really good point. There have been many families that I've seen like that, where the kids don't have stuff at mom's or they don't have stuff at dad's. And the other trend that we see quite a bit are grandparents raising kids. And, they're sometimes just totally lost. They don't even know what the kid's supposed to be wearing and don't even know what size the kid wears. And they come in and they'll say, I've just gotten custody of my 2 grandkids. And, these people could be well into their 70s or 80s and, they're starting all over again.
Yeah.
So, and we also see kids that come to us whose moms have been victims of domestic violence. And some of those families have left the situation with just the clothing on their back.
Yeah, they leave without it.
Right. So they'll bring the kids into our store and they're coming in with, they're starting over again, basically with nothing. We also see people that have nowhere to really call home or are living in hotels or motels. And again, they're basically just traveling with what they can carry. And so, there are a lot of sad stories that people don't know about.
What? I mean, it's a little thing. It seems like a little thing, but it's a big thing when you talk about getting somebody started off right so they feel like they're equal to everybody else. We always talk about equality, but a lot of equality has to do with, being on a peer level so that you don't feel like you're a second class citizen, so to speak. And it's interesting because we see in Martin County, it's tough because we have a lot of wealthy families in Martin County. And I know when our kids were younger and going to school, keeping up with the Joneses was a
gosh.
big issue,
The pressure.
Absolutely.
and so now all of a sudden, and every little bit of stress that you put on a child takes away from their education, takes away from their ability to interrelate with their peers. That you don't want them to say, I'm not going to go to I'm not going to go over to a sleepover or to this or that, because they don't have the right stuff, they don't have the right clothes, they don't have the things they need. And so this type of program, and it's for the listeners out there that aren't familiar with it, it's just kind of like a store. You go in and you get to shop, and you kind of pick stuff out, and they work with you to determine what you need and that kind of thing. And it's an opportunity for you to to give back. If you've got you've got some lightly worn items, and you want to provide them, or let's say you're in that situation where you are fortunate enough that you've got a pop-up and a grandma that is willing to buy you a lot of stuff that you may want or not want.
Need.
And you can give that you can give that back, and give back to that. And a lot of times, I know sometimes I'll be out and I'll see something at Target or someplace like that, and it's $12, right? So you say, oh, that would look cute on Macy, or that would look cute on Carter. So you grab that and and so then it doesn't work out as well, or it's too big or whatever it is. And so sometimes instead of just return,
you don't return things.
Yeah, I never return stuff. So instead of returning it, you can give it to you guys, and then it's something that somebody else might want. That's just a personal taste thing. And
they do give them
new items.
There you go.
Yeah.
And how often can you visit?
You can come 3 times a year, but you have to wait 4 months in between each visit. But Kathleen's right. We give out to each child 3 sets of underwear and 3 sets of socks. And then,
that's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
That's why I made the comment about the inside underwear, because I know you guys do that, and people don't think about it, but a lot of things that's hard to get is you don't get lightly used underwear.
Well, we actually get that stuff, unfortunately, but we usually throw it in the trash.
Yeah, most people don't want to take that. If it's not been opened, or maybe it's in the package still. But.
I used to tell all our volunteers, all those coupons you get for go to Victoria's Secret and get a free pair of underwear. And I was challenging them to get them and then donate them to 4Cs for the teenagers.
Yes.
What teenager wouldn't want a great pair of underwear that looks really cool?
I don't want to even think about.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
Nobody needs to see those. I want those to be.
It makes them feel good.
I don't care. The granny panties are what they're wearing until they're married.
Good luck. But it makes you feel good when you are wearing a cool pair of underwear. Yeah. It's like the cartoon ones that the little kids wear.
Yeah, I know.
It just makes you feel good.
It's true. And you raised a really good point, Mark, not about
the granny panties. I thought that was a great point.
No, but imagine you're a teenager at a sleepover with some of your friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, if you don't have the same things that the other girls have, especially with girls,
yeah.
Then, it's a bullying thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
they'd rather not go.
They won't go. And also, I've had teachers tell me that kids won't come to school because they don't have clothes to wear, or they don't have uniform clothes to wear. So the parent just keeps them home.
Right.
So, you're missing out on all that school time because you don't have the right kind of shirt you're supposed to wear to school. That's crazy.
And you know what? Even the kid that attends is mentally missing out on some school time because they're worried about what their friends are thinking.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If they have an outfit that they have to wear that they're not comfortable with, instead of focusing on what's going on in the classroom, they're worried that their friends are going to think something bad, or they're going to all of a sudden, like you say, and kids in middle school in particular can be brutal.
I hate it.
Just brutal. And it's a tough age, and and that peer pressure at that age is just unbelievable. And so
How about shoes, Gigi?
Shoes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, funny you should mention that. We have a shoe program. We give a voucher to our children that are basically from elementary school up into high school, where they can take a coupon that we give them to our local Walmart and get shoes. And it's a $15 credit per child.
Now, speaking of that, question I had. What about sportswear for cleats and things like that for sports activities? Because that's a
it's expensive too.
you start in things like lacrosse. We're looking at that now, and and all of a sudden this even for little ages, you've got stick and you got a mouth guard and you got some shorts they got to wear,
uniforms,
and all that,
all those pants. We do get those things donated, and
good.
We will put them out for the taking if somebody wants them. And if we ever get cleats, they're gone right away.
Yeah,
because of all the children who are playing sports. If they see a pair of cleats in their size, they'll just grab them.
So also we do have partners. So if any of our listeners know of a child who is in need, in a roundabout way, get in contact with us and get us that child, and we will make sure that if we have the possibility of helping them, we do have people that we can reach out to who may be able to help them.
Okay.
So we do have contacts that can possibly assist these children with used items, but yes,
like sports items.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So what and what is the again, what days are you out there, and how do they need to make an appointment and all of that kind of thing?
No appointment necessary. Just come in the hours that we're open. So we rely on the schools and the other social service agencies and churches and we work with 70 different organizations in the community, and they have our paper vouchers that we mail to them. And so they basically look at the child and the family and make sure that these are definitely children in need. And then they just bring the paper voucher and their ID to our store. We're open on Wednesdays and Fridays. The hours are on the paper voucher, but Wednesdays we're open from 12 to 5 and Fridays from 9 to 2. We're also open the first and third Saturday of each month from 9 to 1. And if there's a conflict, because we know in a lot of these families there's working parents and they might not be able to get there at certain times, if they contact the store, we can work with them and have them come in on a day that is more convenient for them. We've also worked with people like Kathleen and guidance counselors and other staff at the schools who have actually come in to shop for kids because the parents, for whatever reason, can't get into the store. And so we'll do that too.
We do everything.
I'll do whatever it takes to get the clothes to these kids.
Well, now if somebody's listening right now, for example, that maybe has a grandkid or has somebody that they know of, that where do they go to find out which agencies are available that they might go to? Because I assume you have to kind of go through the agency to get qualified first, right? Or can you go directly? Can you call you guys up directly go directly on a website or something?
Well, here's the deal. So if you have a child in school, you go right to the school.
Okay. So you go to the school.
Right. So any child who is getting free or reduced lunch can qualify for this program. Or any kid that's just doesn't have clothes and comes in and says, I don't have uniform clothes or I don't have appropriate clothes to wear to school, they can qualify. At the other agencies, they're typically families that are already getting served there. So, for example, if you go to House of Hope to get food because they have a food pantry there, then you would qualify to come see us, because if you don't have enough money for food, then pretty much you don't have enough money to buy clothing either. So they qualify their people. Salvation Army will qualify their people. Safe Space qualifies their people. So the different nonprofit agencies that are already helping these families will send the families to us, so they already know them.
Now, what about places like St. Joe's and Redeemer and Pine School and some of those kind of things? So do they have a program there? And I mentioned Pine School on purpose because that's another thing. Sometimes these schools like that, you think, oh, gee, those people can afford. Well, they can't always. Sometimes they're there on scholarships or partial scholarships, and it's really important at those schools because peer pressure is great at all of those. So I'm just kind of curious.
They all have even the private schools have our vouchers.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
They're just not typically the schools that send to us, but they do have them.
Yeah, because some of them have their own programs within their own schools or whatever that they take care of kids on.
The private schools tend to have their own clothing closets.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
For uniforms.
But now, one of the things I know you guys used to do, and I think still are involved with it, is You guys used to have a program where it was kind of a Dress for Success program.
Right.
And I don't know if you guys are still doing anything on that. But I know that was kind of an interesting thing because it was a real good program for those that were looking to start entering the workforce.
Back, it's been at least 10 years or so, even longer. We did have Dress for Success.
See, I'm old.
That's okay. Me too. We actually it kind of vanished because we weren't seeing the numbers that we needed. And as we were trying to promote the program, and we would say, this year we helped 4 kids, get clothing that they could wear to work or whatever. It wasn't really, nobody was really using the program to its degree that it should have been used. So what we do now is we do keep some wear that people, suits and things that people can wear. But the other thing we found is that in this area for jobs for teens, they don't have to wear that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're not
So if
required.
they're going to be a hostess at a restaurant, they need black slacks and a white shirt.
Right.
And we already have that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know a lot of the stuff was I thought was interesting about it was not necessarily the clothing portion of it, but it was what's appropriate, makeup wise, and
Right.
and how you look, and those
Your
kind
interviewing
of
techniques.
things. Interviewing
Yeah.
techniques,
Right, yeah,
and
how you
there was a
come
lot
across.
of that kind of thing. But again, a lot, like you say, a lot of that is different now.
All right,
it's a
so
different.
let me jump in. Sorry.
Okay.
A lot of like the IRSC and Clark and all of those, when they do when we do our job our career events, they have those programs now for the kids. So I think they address those.
Okay.
And they do have places that they are able to get their clothing that they need. So I think it's just shifted to other agencies that do those. Because I believe one of them's coming up. I was with an agency yesterday and they're starting a drive for those kinds of clothing. So I think it's just shifted to another agency.
Cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
That's pretty neat.
Let me know when you find out
I
what
will.
the other agency
Suzanne
is.
is the one who is actually doing
Oh,
a
okay.
donation intake.
Okay.
So yes.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was, it's funny that a program like this that does so much good stuff started from, a grandmother and grandfather looking at
Looking at the
kids,
community.
I
Yeah.
thought that was
sit,
amazing.
and that's one of the things that I take a little side note is that, that I mention from time to time is the great thing about living in Martin County is that we have a lot of people here, even ones that are not full-time residents. And so I get a little upset when people knock the snowbirds because we have
They have
these
great ideas.
well, they have great ideas because sometimes they have been in other communities where
Mhm.
they've seen a need.
Absolutely.
And they just, they know it needs to be filled here in Martin County, and they want their community here, their second home,
Mhm.
to have something like that. But also, we have a lot of people, frankly, that have been more fortunate in their lives. They're in a position now to give back,
Mhm.
and they want to. And so I'm just amazed at some of the things that have been started and the programs that we've got. And it's one of the things in terms of a segue, not a segue, but in terms of a comment relative to United Way, is that, people sometimes ask, why should I fund United Way? Why shouldn't I just go directly to the Four Cs or directly to whatever agency it is?
yep.
Yeah, whatever agency it is. And one of the reasons is that United Way has contact with and is in the process of helping people that are trying to get alternative programs available that may meet a need better than the traditional need. Like Four Cs, where is that someplace? It may be nothing like that anywhere else. So if you didn't know about that, you're not going to go and give money to Four
Place
Cs.
you don't know about.
Because you don't know about it. United Way knows about it, and you know what the specific need is, and it may be volunteers, or it may be cash, or it may be money for different things. But it's important because we do have a lot of these things in Martin County that, and I always use the one that I always use is Gertrude Walden.
Mhm.
That program, and and what Thelma's done there. But that program was incubated really kind of within the
Community.
within the community and within the United Way program, and it was an alternative that a lot of there was no such thing. Gertrude Waldron wasn't up north. It was a specific program here, and it's been tremendous in terms of the impact it's had on the East Stewart community in particular. And so, when you look at those kind of things, if you didn't know that existed, you would not think to fund it, and that program would have never got off the ground. And now it generates its own revenue and has all kinds of things that's going on. It's very successful. But I'm just saying, there's things like that. The other one I use quite a bit is Project Lift, which was a program that's now expanded all over, basically all over the state, and has been very, very successful. Tykes and Teens. Yeah. Tykes and Teens, those kind of programs, people don't even realize those are out there. And so, we have the traditional programs, and they still do need our support and get our support.
Right.
But the fact is, there are a lot of these other programs that are doing tremendous things in the community that people don't really even know about.
Right.
And so it's amazing, what happens. And your program is a perfect example of that. I mean, it has been around for a long time, and some of us that have been here know some of the things that have done and all the help you've given.
Right.
But it's one of those organizations that's kind of behind the scenes, just supporting. It's the safety net. When we talk about providing a safety net, that is the private sector, all of us as individuals and volunteers, providing a safety net for those people that need it. I think that's just a tremendous thing. I just love to see that type of thing.
I do too.
So that's just one facet of the 4 C's. They also have tutors in 5 schools that are helping our children tremendously. So quick touch on that.
Okay.
Quickly, about 13 years ago, we started an in-school literacy program. And it started at 2 schools, and we're now in 5. And we started with a handful of reading tutors, and now we have 100, working with over 200 children in the schools during their reading time. And these are kids that have been identified as reading below level for their grade. And so we're making huge strides in getting these kids up to par on their reading level. So it's a win-win. It's great for the students. The schools love the results we're producing, and the tutors are enjoying spending time with kids. So
most of them are RSVP volunteers.
Yes, they are.
Wow, that's
get a plug in.
That's right. And I think the success rate is over 90%.
It is.
So every 9 out of 10 kids are, by the end of the school year, reading on level, going on to the next grade, because everyone knows how if you don't, if you're not on level by the end of 3rd grade, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. So it's wonderful. And Betty Mulligan, the lead on the tutors, has been nominated for 1 million awards, gotten them all. And last year, I think she was Florida's Volunteer of the Year.
Wow.
Right.
Really?
Senior volunteers.
Oh, sorry. Senior RSVP nominated by us. But yes. So she won the RSVP award, and then they nominated her for the Florida State Senior Award. So she won that too.
But she's not 50 yet, so she doesn't qualify.
She would kiss you. But yes. So she has, she's won a number of awards.
Right.
Yeah. So she's great. Program. It really is good. So we support that with our grant. So my job, of course, is to make the tutors
happy,
make their job easier. So that's what I do.
And it is a fantastic, and I tell you, all of the statistics and studies, show that if these kindergarten kids and the first graders and second graders, and that's where catch them, if they can spend 20 minutes a day, at night or whatever, reading. I had a program once that I wanted to do, and I would kind of kick myself a little bit that I never could get it off the ground. And never put enough effort in it, and it still would be kind of cool. But WSTU here has some time in the evening after their regular paid shows where there's still people out there are listening, but it's kind of network stuff or whatever. And what I had wanted to do was team up with the high schools, especially their drama programs, right? And then between like 7 and 8 or 7 and 7:30, which is right around bedtime for the little kids, for the first graders, and you would have for that first half hour, you would pick a book that what you would do for a couple weeks, and the kids would act it out. They would be the characters reading the book, reading the characters, and you could sit at home with
And
your
page through the
child
book.
and page through the book and read it
Oh, that's
along.
cool.
That's
Right.
really
And you
cool.
would
could tape
announce
it early.
Yeah, and you could announce it. You could announce it.
Yeah.
You could announce when it was going. What book we were going to do this time. We could have it available within the library system or whatever, and then they could do it. And then after that, you would have maybe one for a little older kids to get them to encourage them to be reading. And then my thought was after that, you'd go into those old. Remember the old. The Shadow and all of those kind of things. You'd have some of those old shows
That'd be
after that for
cool.
some, for people who want to.
They're
But
really
I thought it would be
crackly now, though.
Yeah,
I've
I know.
heard them.
But my
Yeah.
ears aren't as good, so it doesn't make a difference to me. But I always thought that would be so cool and so
That
much
would
fun to do. And
be.
I'm sure the high school kids would get a big kick out of it.
Yeah.
We would love to partner with you on something
be
like that,
fun,
because we have
yeah.
a store library in our store, and everybody who visits gets to take 2 books home with them. So if you ever decide to do this, we could stock up on those books that you are going to read, and we could make sure they get into the
that's
hands of
great.
the kids.
Well, maybe if somebody's got some contacts with the drama department over at Jensen Beach or Martin County or South Fork or something like that wants
Well,
to.
it could be anybody reading, really.
Yeah,
They have to be
but
clear readers.
It would be clear, but I think it would be fun to have somebody who would kind of be, into character, in the book,
Right.
kind of read the book as character,
Like Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf,
Right,
and that kind of
and
stuff.
I do that all. Yeah, we do that all the time. And
Yeah.
and I know when I was reading my kids years and years ago, we had the Sesame Street stuff, and I could do the Count's voice, and I could do Cookie Monster,
Nice.
and so it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it
a
would
great
be kind
idea.
of neat,
I love it.
to do it. And
Yeah.
so I've been, probably 10 years, 12, 15 years now. I've been thinking
It's a
about that.
great idea.
And we'll get a hold of Greg and Carol Wyatt and see. I'm sure they would partner up by giving us a little bit of time in the evening,
That would be
after
so
their regular
neat.
programming.
Yeah.
And
you have to do it during the little kids' bedtime hour, though.
Right.
So,
So,
like, it had to be.
In other
a lot of
words,
them go
you're
to bed at
calling me
7.
back into the studio.
right. Yeah, that's what we do.
Well, maybe they can just plug the tape in.
Yeah. So,
But
but 7,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I
you
wish.
do.
some
so
of
you
the
do
classics. Do some of the classics.
Right.
The Prince and the Pauper.
Right.
Some of those.
And you do 7 to 7:30 for
Good
one age
idea.
group, and
Yes.
7:30 to 8 for another age group. Right.
Yeah.
And I had actually thought about,
Great idea.
I also thought about to also have, and WST may be able to help us with that, is to have small AM radios that you could hand out as part of the program so that because some people don't have access. Now we got the web, and I guess you could probably get it on that way. But I'm
Some
thinking
people
that-
don't have radios.
Yeah. And actually the
yeah.
cool thing now that's happened since I originally thought about it is that we now have video in here. So you could actually have the kids come in dressed up as their character.
You want them to go to sleep,
I
Mark.
know, but it would be kind of cool. So
He's really spinning out of control.
it's great. So, but I'd always thought it would be a good
I've
way to
been
get.
dealing with it for years.
It'd always be a
No.
great way to for people to learn to read. It'd be a lot
That
of
is
fun.
funny.
Just one quick thing about that. One of the things that we notice, and I'm sure every educator notices too, is that a lot of the kids that you say, can they go home and read a book for 20 minutes every evening with their parents don't read or speak English. And
Right.
so therefore they can't do that.
Right.
Right.
So
And there are a number of volunteers in the community that will do that. Will help with. But sometimes you're trying to get the kids in bed. You're trying to get you're
Right.
trying to get them ready to go. You need something to settle them down, but you want them to read, and so it's that. Even though you've got volunteers who would come out, in the early evening or other times, that time of night when you're trying to get the kids settled in and get a bedtime, and it is so critical to all of that. And it's why I just thought it would be a great way to get kids to kind of go to settle down too. But
Yeah.
but anyway, maybe one of these things we'll get
Yes.
it off the ground. I'll get somebody out there that's listening that
There
wants
you
to.
go.
They'll call Kathy and we'll put it together.
There you go.
Say,
Well,
hey,
because the library reads to kids, and they do show up. I mean, there's always a lot of children there to listen. So.
yeah, I think it'd be
But
fun.
Okay. So
And speaking
here's
of
what's going
reading,
wild.
I would mention that
Yeah.
I think this next weekend, the Kiwanis Club is having their annual celebration of Dr. Seuss's
Right.
Yeah.
birthday. And so they will have all kinds of events. There'll be pancakes and all kinds of things. And then there'll
Right.
be reading in the park,
Right.
and
The
it's
celebrity reading.
celebrity reading in the
Yeah.
park. And so it's a great program that's coming up. It's been more and more popular every year. It's been a huge success. It's over in Kiwanis Park.
Cool. We'll
And
be there.
so make sure you're there. It's on Saturday, I think.
Yes.
This is it
This
this coming
Saturday?
Saturday?
It's in
Or is it a week?
March.
March
It's in March.
7, I believe.
Yeah, so that's not it's a week from this
So
Saturday.
send
That's
me
right.
the flyer and I'll get it out.
Yeah, we'll get that. And Frank, you
And I'll
go
be
to that
there
Kiwanis.
serving pancakes.
Yeah.
Yay! I
So-
love pancakes.
So yeah, we'll get that out. And,
I'll go for the pancakes.
it's cool.
I do know that Once Upon a Child is having a Dr. Seuss during that week for everyone who needs the books. Buy 3 Dr. Seuss books, get 3 Dr. Seuss books for free. They've been saving them all year just for you.
Cool. That's
So,
pretty
yep,
cool.
Yep.
And and I do want to give a shout out to the Kiwanis Club of Stewart. That has been a
'Cause
tremendous
I love
program.
pancakes.
Yeah, pancakes and Dr. Seuss. Who
That-
can beat that? Right?
Nobody
So-
could beat that.
Green eggs and ham.
I know.
Yeah.
They
There you
did that
go.
last year.
Yeah.
I was Bono's used to have a breakfast, and during this,
During the off season.
they actually
Yeah.
had green eggs and
Did
ham.
they?
That's
I loved it.
Some
I
of
used
the
to go there all the
schools do
time.
that
But
during that
anyway,
day.
so
That's
it was-
pretty cool.
yeah.
All right. George Carlin says there's no such thing as blue food. Occasionally, you do get bad Jello from the cafeteria, though. That could qualify.
Could qualify. So, all right. So,
You want to know what's coming up?
yeah. Well, let me just finish up.
Real-
Gigi, is
Gigi?
there anything that we missed on the program that you wanted to talk about, or anything that's you guys are rolling out new?
Well, just a couple of really quick things. For people that don't know, we have over 5,000 child visits to our store every year. So
Wow.
it is a big need here in our community. The other thing is we do need donations of clothing. So keep putting your used clothing in our bins.
Make sure they're her bins, though.
Yeah.
And where
a
are
lot
those
of bins
bins? Where
out
are those
there.
bins
They're
at?
at most of the schools here in Martin County have our bins.
Okay.
There's 10 different sites. You go to our website, www.4cmartin.org, and you can see where they all are. The other thing is, we appreciate your support. And
where are you?
oh, yes, that's a good thing. We're on Jack James Drive off of Canner Highway in
Okay.
Stewart. We have a bin in front of our store too. That's
Okay.
one location. So feel free to donate there. And then the other big news for us is that within the next few months, we're going to be purchasing a van, and we're going to be taking our clothing and books on the road to different neighborhoods that are basically not able to access our store as much as we would like for them to come in. If they don't have transportation, we're going to focus on the areas of most need in our community, and also partner with some other nonprofits that have special events.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And
It is cool.
Frank, you remind me, and maybe you can mention it to your Kiwanis Club. We ought to get our K Kids and our Builders Club and our Key Clubs to have a one-time drive for clothes.
Boys'
the K-
pants, especially.
Yeah, but the K Kids are always
Yeah.
looking for things to do in their schools
Well,
and their
that'd be
communities,
good.
and the Builders Club Middle School and the Key Club High
Yeah.
School.
Or
Yes.
new underwear and socks.
Yeah, it would
Any
be
of that.
it would be pretty cool because
Mhm.
and a lot of times you think, well, even the high school, a lot of times if you buy something and
Yeah.
somebody might wear it once or twice and then just decide, oh, I don't really
I don't
like
like
that
it.
on me or
Yep,
whatever,
yep.
and if they don't have siblings or whatever. So I think that would be a great problem. I'm gonna have to try to remember this Friday to bring it up at our Kiwanis Club of Martin County. Maybe you can remember on the Stewart
Sure.
one, and we'll
Hand
get
me
it.
that paper. I'll write it down for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that would be good.
And a shout out to Kiwanis Club, because they have been very supportive of our charity in the past with
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah, they
always-
do.
Kiwanis.
Yeah.
Yay, Kiwanis Club.
We'll be there for pancakes.
That's right. So, well, that's good. And then, so, Gigi, do we need is there a website or a phone number that you want to
Yes.
give?
Our website again is www.4cmartin.org, and our phone number is 772-221-8777.
Okay.
So
Give
visit
the phone
us.
number one more time.
772-221-8777.
Okay, great. All right.
Thank you.
Great program. And thanks, Gigi. And you guys do a tremendous job. And we love the opportunity to have you on the show and get a chance to focus on it, because it's one of those great programs that a lot of people, because, it's kind of a more local thing, a lot of people aren't familiar with it. And it just does a tremendous job every single day of the year. So it's
Thank you.
fantastic. It's great. All right. So Kathy, what other kind of things we got going on from a United Way standpoint?
So just around the corner, we all know that it's going to get chilly.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Well, not as chilly as we thought.
Oh,
just
dang.
saying. I know.
Good.
So I know it. But if you are interested in being on an on-call list to help out. Gertrude Walden is the cold weather shelter for us. So if they do have to open, they will open for the homeless people. Thank you very much, Thelma Washington. We love you. And so they will be moved from places to Gertrude Walden. The volunteers shift would be from 11 at night till 5:30 in the morning. I do have an ample list right now, but if you would like to be added to it, we would love to have you. And then in the morning, they need a crew to come in to help gather up the cots, help vacuum up the place so Thelma can get her child care center back open. So give me a call, 772-283-4800, extension 225, or just ask for me, just for the on-call list for that. Good news, it doesn't look like it's going to get as cold on Thursday or Friday, but Saturday maybe. So we may have to open it Saturday night.
Kathy, on a related note, here on US 1 at a North Stewart area, do we have any soup kitchens or shelter type things along that corridor? Or do you have to go all the way up into Port St. Lucie or back into Stewart? The reason I ask is
for the cold weather shelter?
No, just for food or a place to, maybe get some assistance. I was at Taco Bell last night, and so there was a poor guy there, and he had a couple bucks, so he bought a taco.
Don't give him money.
He actually
That's my
spent it on
advice
food.
to you.
I bought him a year's
one of those.
I bought him a year's supply of
A year's supply?
Year's supply of
If you're going to give them food,
Taco Bell's cheap.
Well, buy food and hand it to them.
I know. That's what,
Yeah.
I kind of did. I was in there. So, but
there's places everywhere.
I know, but I just, and he was asking, because he was on his way north, and he was asking me, is there a place? I think he was looking for some actual help. I think he's,
because there is House of Hope. There is the House of Hope.
Yeah, I know.
And they have food there. They have food they can hand out there, but it's only open during the day.
Right.
And then there's soup kitchens all over.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think. Because a lot of those are connected with a church, so that they might also get
every
some
day
counseling.
of the week. One church is assigned.
Yeah. So
a meal.
Anyway, it's but
Do you have the list?
This time of year,
I can send you the list.
This time of year, we just have tons of that type of thing. There's people coming to the community, and you hate to give them a lot of money because and he even admitted he had been on a bender down south in Key West and just started coming up. He didn't even know where he was at.
But your little lady who stands out here on the corner, I've seen her down towards my house. So
right, yeah.
Okay.
I know.
So let me quick give you the rest of the things because he's giving me the numbers. We are still doing the VITA tax program, volunteer income tax assistance program. We do nights, the libraries do days. We do have some openings in April. If you are interested in becoming a tax preparer next year, let me know. I'll put you on the list.
And you just come to my office and we'll practice with you for a year. If you want to work for free, we'll test it out and see how you do.
If you're interested, we'll put you on the list.
Yeah, we'll give you some on-site training.
So Tiki's on the Terrace for United Way. That's coming up March 27th. If you would like to donate a silent auction item or would like to be a sponsor, we still have that available. Contact Rachel Terlizzi at 283-4800. We would love to have you. The active shooter preparedness, it was so popular in January that he has been asked to do 3 more. The next one is March 31st. So I will be sending out an e-blast about that. They had about 150 attendees. It was at the Lyric.
Yeah,
so they want some more.
I saw it.
It was cool. And I'm going to go to one of them because I promised him I would. So we have that coming up. And that is it for me.
Well, just as an additional note on that active shooter preparedness, I had a chance to have to see the Martin County presentation, the Sheriff's Department presentation at my Kiwanis meeting one time, and it was really pretty informative. I mean, there's a lot of things that you don't think about. This one was geared towards the work site, and towards the job, and really just it's little things. But there's things that you can do ahead of time to make your workplace safer.
Correct.
And they'll talk about this because some of this isn't just like knowing where your AK-47 is stored so you can fire back. It is
counting the rows of seats on an airplane.
But it's knowing where the exits are, and which way the doors swing in and out, and a lot of other things. So it's really kind of a great program. And so I'm not surprised that we're looking at
And
doing
it
it
happens
again.
everywhere.
It
everywhere.
does, but so
Yep.
so it's just something to be aware of. It's unfortunate, but nowadays we do have to be aware of those things.
Correct.
And do it. So, well, the Frank's playing music and giving me the finger, so it means that basically
Stop it.
basically we're at the end of the show. But I appreciate all of the people that listen, and Kathy, you guys, a fantastic job in the community. United Way does a fantastic
Thank
job.
you.
And
We have
Gigi,
great
you're
leadership.
always welcome.
Well,
Don't be a
thank you.
stranger. You
I'll-
need to come in and let people know.
I don't need to wait 2 more years. To
No,
come back.
no, you can come
I don't
back.
have to wait till Kathy invites me back again.
No.
Okay.
Well, thanks for joining us right here on WSTU Digital 1450. We are Martin County's very, very old station.